Hey everyone, I hope you guys are having a fabulous weekend so far. There's a lot to cover in track and field, and I'm not going to be able to get to all of it in this video. I'm aware that Caster Semenya has been banned from this year's World Championships. If you guys want to learn more about that video, I will drop my link to Caster Semenya's history in track and field here. I covered it a couple months ago, and it's very informative on why this is such a huge issue in track and field. Also want to give a quick shout out to Matthew Bowling and his performance in this year's Pan Am Games, because it was probably one of the best performances in American track and field history for those who are under 20. So looking forward to seeing what he can do at Georgia this coming season. But I really want to get into this year's USATF Championships. They concluded last week at Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa, and there were a couple big surprises. So let's get into this recap. So USATF track and field is different from the NCAA's because USATF is the governing body of all of American track and field. So it includes not only amateurs, but professionals as well. Every year they have a national championship, but this year the stakes have been raised because the top Americans in each event are qualifying for this year's World Championships in Doha, Qatar. In the 4x1 and the 4x4, the top 4 times will comprise both relays, while 5th and 6th places will be the alternates in Qatar. So the championships looked a lot of fun on television. I saw Noah Lyles bust out his best KD impression after winning the 200-meter dash. Sam Kendricks broke the American pole vault record, and even though he competes for Sweden now, Mondo Duplantis congratulated Kendricks on a remarkable feat. Emma Coburn and Brittany Reese both won their 8th national championship, so they have a combined 16 titles together. So they're 2 of the most dominant Americans in their respective events. Fred Kerley upset Michael Norman to win the men's 400. I'm not sure if it's a total upset because he was confident on the backstretch and the home stretch, and he's won this event before. So this is his 2nd time winning the national championship and his 2nd time booking a ticket to Worlds. We got to see 2 rivalries in track and field come to life once again, from the college circuit to the pro circuit. Grant Holloway and Daniel Roberts both made the hurdling squad. Grant Holloway had to dive at the line just to make the team, and Daniel Roberts won the race outright. But kudos to them for making their first World Championships as pros. I also want to give a shout out to Shakima Wembley. We were classmates at Miami together. In fact, when I used to write for the Miami Hurricane student newspaper, I used to cover the women's track and field team. And they went from being unranked to a top 10 team with Wembley, Ebony Morrison, and so many other fantastic women athletes at the helm. So it was really cool to see her win her first NCAA championship a couple years ago. Now she's won another USATF title in the women's 400, and she beat Kendall Ellis of USC just like she did a couple years ago at NCAA's. For those who don't remember, Kendall Ellis was the one that had the SportsCenter top 10 in 2018 with the women's 4x4 to not only give USC a national championship title in the event, but to win the event overall. So it was really cool to see those 2 going at it as pros, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do on the world stage. Now, even though some of the professional rookies like Grant Holloway and Daniel Roberts made it to the World Championships, some of the rookies have been struggling as of late. Divine Oduduru, even though he represents Nigeria, he posted the fastest time in the world this year, but finished in 8th place in his most recent meet at the Diamond League in Monaco. In terms of USATF implications, Kayla White didn't make the women's 100-meter final, and Sha'Carri Richardson finished in 8th place in the final for the same event. And both of these women posted the fastest times in the world this year in the women's 100. I was watching Sha'Carri's interview after the 100-meter final, and I think the biggest takeaway for all the rookies is that this is going to be tough. This is their first season as professionals, being endorsed by some of the biggest brands in the world, and they're now competing with the best of the best. The competition is steep, and any given Sunday could be somebody's day. Let's take a look at the women's 100-meter final this year. Aaliyah Hobbs was in it. She came out of LSU and she graduated within the last 5 years. You also had veterans and Olympians like Morolake Kinnison and English Gardner. But some people weren't in this women's 100-meter final, like Tori Bowie, who won the World Championships in 2017, or Jenna Prandini out of Oregon, who competed in Rio 2016, or even Candace Hill, who was a high school phenom that recently signed with ASICS. So there were a lot of women that were in this final that were at the top of their game and some very notable faces, but there were also notable faces that didn't even make the finals. So that's what I'm saying, like this competition is intense in track and field. And I think it's going to motivate these rookies. It's gonna be a steep learning curve, but I think that they're gonna come back stronger than ever come trials and come the Olympics next year. The next biggest surprise for me was Allyson Felix. Not because she made her 8th World Championships in a row and her 9th overall since 2001, but the fact that she ran unattached. Allyson Felix finished in 6th place in the women's 400 meter dash. So she qualified for the women's 4x4 relay as an alternate, and this is her first Worlds as a new mother. So congratulations to her. I'm very, very excited to see a veteran on this USA squad being able to work with this team and cheer this team on and even help this team get to the finals. However, we've all known Allyson Felix as a Nike athlete for many years. Yes, she started her career with Adidas, but when you think about some of her best Olympic performances, she was always wearing the swoosh, not just as part of Team USA, but in her endorsement as well. It's no secret that Allyson Felix has had some struggles with Nike recently, especially considering that they didn't support her during her very complicated pregnancy last year. It surprised me that Nike wasn't there for one of their biggest athletes in track and field. For one, Nike's entire empire is built on track and field. Without the success of their running shoes, you do not get the success of Nike today, especially going against European companies like Adidas and Puma. Plus, Allyson Felix is one of the most decorated Olympians in history, especially when you look at the sport of track and field. And knowing Nike's marketing campaign with Dreaming Crazy and always fighting for women's empowerment with the US women's national team, you would think that they would be able to support a track athlete like Allyson Felix, or even other track athletes that have had children in the past like Alicia Montano. But Nike hasn't been there for these women, and it's a huge problem. As a result, even though she had Nikes on her feet, Allyson Felix did run unattached. She wore a black tank top and black shorts. And a few days after the meet was over, she announced that she will be the first female athlete to sign with Athleta. Gap owns Athleta, Banana Republic, and Old Navy. Athleta is their athletic division. They specialize in athletic clothing, particularly yoga wear, and they compete heavily with Lululemon. Now, in terms of that, I think Allyson Felix is going to be a huge voice in women's empowerment. I'm really excited to see their campaign. And if you're Athleta, you're getting a lot of visibility from one of the best athletes in the sport, not just at Worlds, but at the Olympics, which is hard to come by because just getting an advertisement in the Olympic Games to that magnitude alone costs hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. Now, I'm not sure if Athleta makes spikes for men or for women, so I think that Allyson Felix will still wear Nikes on her feet and just wear Athleta clothing when she's not competing for Team USA. And it's gonna be very similar to Roger Federer. Now, remember, Roger Federer signed a $300 million deal to be represented by Uniqlo. So he wears Uniqlo on his headband and his shirt, but he still wears Nikes on his feet because Uniqlo is not known to make tennis shoes. The final surprise is that Dalilah Muhammad smashed the 400 meter hurdles world record. When you think of the women's 400 meter hurdles, you may think of Sydney McLaughlin first. Sydney has been primed to be the future of this event. She competed at Rio 2016 as a high schooler, and in her 1 year at Kentucky, broke the NCAA record and won the national championship before signing with New Balance. However, Dalilah Muhammad won the Olympic gold medal at Rio, and she had to remind the world that, hey, I'm still here, I'm still kicking it, I'm still dominant in this event. I'm excited to see both of these women compete at Worlds and bring back some serious hardware to America. That's about it for me. Be sure to check out my next track and field video. It's going to be about people to watch at this year's World Championships, whether from Team USA or from around the world. And be sure to check out my college football preview for the 150th season of college football. I couldn't be more thrilled to get this season kicked off. I think it's going to be bigger and better than we have ever known it to be. If you guys haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will chat with you all soon.